In 2018, my girlfriend punched me in the face. And I know this sounds made up, but this is 100% true. We got into this nasty fight. She was yelling at me, she was screaming at me. She actually took her phone, threw it at me, luckily missed, and it hit the screen door. And then after that, she came over and she hit me. Now, it wasn't always like this. When the relationship started, it was actually amazing. I remember we met in Los Angeles in 2017, and we were just having the best time, going to dinners, enjoying time together. There was even one point where I thought this could be the girl that I was actually going to marry. And then as we got deeper into the relationship, we started to spend even more time together. We started to travel the world. We were going all over Southeast Asia. I even made a bunch of videos of our time together. It was, to say the least, pretty magical. There were, however, some signs, and even one major sign that I did not notice when we got into the relationship, and it happened fairly early on. And I know that if I was able to know what I know now and pick up on that, then we wouldn't have gotten to the point where we would get that far into the relationship. In fact, the relationship would have ended months and months previous. So I want to warn you so you don't have this happen to you, so that you can look out for a sign like this. And I'm also going to give you a couple of other signs to look out for to know that the relationship that you're in is not going to last. If there's anything I want more, I want you to be in a successful relationship, and I want you to find a woman that is going to respect you. So what was the sign? The fatal sign that I'm talking about is something called gaslighting. Now, I know that that word gets thrown around a lot, and I think it gets thrown around so much that people don't actually know what that means. Well, I'm gonna be giving you a specific example right now because it actually happened to me, and not only has it happened to me in the past relationship that I'm referring to, but it also happened in previous relationships. So first, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting simply is making someone feel crazy and putting them in some sort of alternate reality than the one that they're in currently. Back to my story. So early on in the relationship that I was talking about, we got into a little bit of a tiff, and I would even barely call it that. It was me bringing something to her where I was mentioning to her a boundary that I didn't like. I didn't want her to do whatever it is that I was doing. In fact, I wish I remembered, I don't. So I came to her with an issue. Now, in a relationship, when you come to someone with an issue, ideally that person listens, doesn't get too defensive, and hears you out. And hopefully they don't gaslight you. So what ended up happening was, as we were discussing the situation and as I was putting up the boundary and what I was trying to fix and what was going on and what was upsetting me at the time, by the end of the conversation, it got to the point where instead of talking about my issue, she turned it into her issue. She started crying, she started getting super upset. She started saying things like, I can't believe that you don't like me, and that I'm terrible, and I'm no good to you. Almost to the point where I now had to console her. So let me summarize this for you. I went to her with an issue that I was having, and now by the end of the conversation, it made me feel like I was in some new alternate reality where now I felt that it wasn't even appropriate for me to bring up my boundary, and now I was consoling her. This, my friends, is one form of gaslighting. Basically, when a person is trying to make you feel wrong or feel like you're crazy for the thing that you're trying to bring up to them. Anytime you get any sort of sense of a woman or even a friend doing this to you, this is going to be a sign that they are not going to be able to communicate with you properly. All relationships need the very best form of communication, because if you don't have that, then you are going to be doomed, because relationships have tiffs, have fights, have arguments. A relationship are two people coming together with different personalities, different psyches, different backgrounds, trying to figure out how to mold together. And ideally, it shouldn't be that hard. And if it is too hard, that's not going to be a good relationship. And she does this to you early on. That is a sign that that is how this person communicates. Now, The form of this is called shifting blame. At least that's what happened to me, where it went from, okay, I had an issue with her, now we're talking about the issues that she's having with me. This is the person shifting blame and not taking accountability for their actions. But this is not the only form of gaslighting. You have withholding, trivializing, countering. You even have things like forgetting, calling the other person too sensitive, or even just denying that they even did anything wrong. Denying abuse, it's called. It's a way of subtly manipulating the situation, and people don't even know that they're necessarily doing it on purpose. Now, let's go back to my story for a second. You might think, man, Trip, you should have figured that out. I mean, if that happened in the very beginning, then why would you keep on going? Well, I'm just a story like anyone else. We tend to get into relationships and we really like a person. We give them the benefit of the doubt. We have this kind of list going in our minds about why we like a person, and then as you continue to date someone, there's things that might be cons. Well, that con came up, and at that point, that was the only thing that was really bad about the relationship, so we kept going. And it didn't happen quite so often. If it did, I would have been out of the relationship earlier. But instead, as time went on, it would kind of come up again and again, and it increased, and to the point where eventually I had to break up with her. Now I'm in a new relationship where that has not even happened once, not even close. Instead, it's filled with fun, with laughter, and most importantly, if there's anything ever wrong, communication is strong. There's no blame, there's no trivializing, there's hearing out the other person, understanding where they're coming from, and then coming together for a solution. All this comes down to is finding an emotionally stable woman. And that means emotionally stable, but also their life is stable. Their life is in order. You don't want to be with someone who doesn't have their life together in terms of not having a job, always messy, all over the place. They seem to not take communication well, and maybe they start crying a lot. They don't have their emotions in order. They really don't have the ability to communicate with you on a mature level, and they're not living a mature lifestyle. Now, how do I know this? Well, because I've seen this happen time and time again with our clients in our coaching program, with people that are friends and family, and it's always the same story. When you're with someone who doesn't have a life that you can complement and come together, not someone who you're trying to fix, not a woman that you're trying to mold into a better version, but someone who already has the best version of themselves. At that point, you can actually get into a real and better relationship. In my Trip Advice Accelerator program, we actually give you the tools to be able to know if a woman has yellow, red, and green flags. That way you can look out for who's actually going to be a good partner for you in your life. Link down below if you want to talk to us about how we can help you with meeting and attracting more women to find that kind of person. I don't want to scare you. I know that dating can be tough, and I even know a lot of you think that a lot of women out there are not good quality. That might be true, but when you find someone who is someone you can really share a life with, it is worth the work that you have to go through to find that person.